Hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan Fisher on behalf of the Pacific Northwest Railroad Archive and Cascade Rail Foundation. Welcome to today's program on October 29th, 2025. And a special welcome to the people of the future watching this program on YouTube. I hope that you'll enjoy it as well. We've had a great program so far this fall, and we've got a couple of really good programs coming up to end the year with. Bob St. John, Bob's in the audience today. Bob will be doing a program in 2 weeks on the Blue Mountains of Oregon on the Union Pacific. November 26th, we've had a little bit of a schedule change. Some of you may remember Nicholas SD75, who did a program on the Utah Railroad a couple years ago. He will be back with us doing a program on Canadian railroads. I believe he now lives in the Toronto area. His father is in the service, so he gets to travel with his dad as his dad gets reassigned around the world. December 10th, Robert Scott and Jim Abney will be talking about the Spokane, Portland, and Seattle rail. Is it railroad or railway, Daniel? The SP&S. Either is fine, he tells me.
Well, it says it's railway if you want to be technical about it.
Okay, well, I like to have my T's dotted and my I's crossed. So December 31st, we've got a program. I'm still negotiating with this guy's agent, so some of these people are, I have to talk to my wife and see if I'm really available on that date or not. And so we tentatively got a program for December 31st, and I'll let you know more when the ink dries. Starting in January 7th, Dale Sanders will be reprising his BC Rail program. That was a big hit at the Center for Railroad Photography and Art in Madison, Wisconsin. Speaking of that organization, their board president, Bon French, will be doing a program the following week on color photography by Jim Neubauer, who was a famous Midwestern photographer. February 4th, George Ferrero of the Lake States Railroad Archive in my ancestral hometown of Baraboo, Wisconsin, will be doing a program on the Duluth South Shore and Atlantic in color. Very, very rare photography and neat stuff. I'm going to skip a couple March 18th, Tim Rep will be with us talking about his new book, which is we're making great progress. We're making, this is just like we'll talk about our sponsor here in a second. Just like our sponsor, who just didn't seem to make any progress, and all of a sudden we're roaring down the tracks. April 15th, 2026. Julie Feather. Julie is the archivist for the East Broad Top Rail Roadway. I don't know which. Anyway, the East Broad Top back in Pennsylvania, and that was a railroad that was tourist operation that completely died. And she's part of the group that's resurrected it and has resurrected their archives. So it's very exciting what they're doing. She was a very popular guest last time. So here we need a quick word from our sponsor. Oh, well, that's me again. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Jonathan Fisher. Now I'm from Cascade Rail Foundation, and we are restoring a Milwaukee Road locomotive for presentation in the Washington State Park in South Cle Elum, Washington. This was another project that was just deader than a doornail for over a decade. Um, it's now been moved to the Columbia Rail Shop in Richland, Washington. They're capable, they're energetic. They've given us an extremely good deal on the restoration for this. And all we need to do at CRF is just raise the rest of the money, which is around $50,000. And these folks are going to get cracking on this thing, and this will be ready to present next summer. And we have a temporary home. Yeah, my next contract will be with the temporary home. So I can't tell you who that is until I have a contract with them. But we've got a place to display it while we work with Washington State Parks on creating a permanent structure for it in the South Cle Elum Heritage Site, CERY, South Cle Elum Rail Yard Heritage Site. There we go. So a quick word from our sponsor. And on that happy note, I am we should all probably like turn our speakers or turn our cameras off, which I'm going to do right now, and turn our sound off. And I'm going to put it on speaker view. And I have just turned it over to our special guest today, Margaret Maggie Wetherbee. Maggie, this is a sophisticated audience, so lay it on thick for them, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Jonathan. It's lovely to see you all today. Thank you for coming and meeting with me in this way. I know that all of you are very much specialists in what you do. And I'm just always really thrilled to make connections with the others in Washington who are doing this type of work. So as Jonathan mentioned, my name is Margaret Wetherbee, and I am the head of collections for the Washington State Historical Society. I go by Margaret because I'm named for my grandmother. I'm a fifth generation Washingtonian, and her family came every way possible to Washington very early, and I am her wildest dream. And so publicly, I'm Margaret. All the media, right, when I do a presentation, but I go by Maggie. My email, though, is Margaret. And I am the head of collections for the Washington State Historical Society. So if you're not familiar with us, the Washington State Historical Society runs the Washington State History Museum, and we're the official repository for the state of Washington. As the head of collections, I am the person who is in charge of all of our 3D collections, our art, our archive, our library, how we do research, and all of the staff that takes care of it. So everyone on my team reports to me as the director of everything we do, and our building is located directly across from Stadium Bowl and Stadium High School. We're in the original museum building, which is on North Stadium Way. And we are really excited to be in this original museum space. I can see right now commencement day and everything from my window here. So and I'm actually going to share my presentation now. So I would really appreciate it if someone could tell me if they cannot see. We did a test, but I want to make sure.
Okay, I'm standing by. I'll officially let you know that I can see.
Thank you.
And yes, I can. So I'm going to
see it.
Yay, hip hip hooray.
Put it in presentation mode. Let's go presentation mode. Oh, we went a little too far there. Okay. So you can see here, again, I am part of the Washington State Historical Society and Museum. My name is Margaret Wetherbee. I'm the head of collections. And part of the reason why I was thankful that Jonathan asked me to come today is I wanted to talk to you all about, getting to come and do research visits in our archive. We mainly have people come in and see our archival material. We do some 3D material, but it's a kind of a different case. And I have to say thank you to Jonathan, because he did mention at the beginning of the presentation that we've been very busy with projects here. And we opened just last week, was our first week open, with our new permanent exhibition called This is Native Land. It is a renovation that has been 4 years in the making, and it is finally open to the public. I was supposed to speak with you over the summer, but we had a construction delay, and so I had to say, please, Jonathan, can I come a little later? So really thank you for being flexible with our schedule. I invite all of you to come and see the exhibition. It is a really great, joyful look at tribal sovereignty and a whole bunch of other topics. There's lots of contemporary art, and it's been really fun to have a week of watching school children participate with the activities and the interactives, and really seeing how people are using the exhibition. So thank you for that. As you also might know, we do a very heavy rotation of exhibitions at our space. We currently have an exhibition on called Dressing the Gilded Age. It is Gilded Age textiles. for both men and women, and it dives into lots of different topics that exhibition does, and it's been really popular with the public. So just want to again reiterate how excited I am to be here with all of you today. So I know what you really want to see is what we have. So I am going to start by showing you and then talking about what we do, some pieces from our collection that we have. Many of you may know one of our archivists on staff here, Ed Nolan, is also someone who appreciates railroads and how they connect. And so we do have a quite good collection of photographs related to the topics of westward expansion and trains. And this is an early photo here from our collection that I thought you might enjoy. We are open currently for research visits on Wednesdays and Thursdays in the afternoons from 1 to 4. We have a brand new reference archivist who is doing research visits and actually is up with a researcher now that it's past 1. Lily is up there now with the researcher, and I wanted to make sure you all knew that, in case you didn't, that our new reference archivist is Lily Woodard, who some of you might remember from when she was working with you all. So we actually, in her interview, she talked about one of the questions that she got as reference that was very fun in the, if I'm writing a book and I have the train leaving from this time at this station, is this accurate? So we know that she really enjoyed her time with you all. But Lily is now our reference archivist, and we'll start working with the public on a kind of a reference basis. So if you'd like to book a research visit with us, you just need to look at what you'd like to see and ask for it to be pulled in on our website. We have a search on our website, and then the contact information is right there for you to reach out to us and set up a visit. The other thing you can do is just reach out to me directly, and I can help with that as well. This one is, I need to move where we all are. Apologies. So you can see that this is Woolard, Washington train station, which is, I think, in Cowles County, Woodland, Washington. And I think our collection has really focused on trying to capture images like this one. This is a postcard, and you can see that we have it available online. One of our most requested things that we get from organizations and people who have very specific interests, like yourself, is the ability to use images from our collection in presentations, and I'm going to go talk to a group of people, things of that nature. And we are happy for people to use the lower resolution images on our website for things like presentations, as long as you just give us some credit so people know where to go if they would like to use the images in a more formal way. And we're happy to have that happen. You don't need to reach out to us about it. You can if you would like, but you definitely can. It's a different matter if it's going to go into a scholarly publication or you need to hire a res image. There are some fees associated with that, but they're pretty minimal. We also are really trying hard to digitize all of our collections items, but if you look and you see something that you're really interested in and it doesn't have an image with it, that usually means it has not been digitized yet. But if you let me know, depending on time frame, we can digitize things for a fee, or if you're like, I'm just interested and it doesn't matter if it takes a couple of months, I could potentially just pop it in the queue because that's one of the things that I assist with, is making sure that we are digitizing our materials out and into the public. I did really like this 1920s poster. So this was, right, your goods and shipments specify fidelity Phoenix policies, because you want to make sure that if there's a train disaster, you're covered. So not only do we have images, but we do have a very large collection of ephemera and posters, which we are always excited to bring out and to show people as well. And this is the 1930s etching that was done by a woman photographer in Tacoma. She didn't do as many of the art pieces, but I loved the trainedness of, of this piece, and thought you'd appreciate seeing it as well. This is 1940s train arriving, and again, just most of our collection with the images is focused on trains use in this kind of capacity. Always open though. I will always do a little plug too. I know we work well with you all, but if you have people who want to donate but are not maybe quite a fit for you all, feel free to send them our way. We're always looking to add to that as well. We are, as I said, we are open to researchers Wednesdays and Thursdays currently, and in the afternoons. And we are looking at adding a virtual research visit in the new year. So this is a service that would really help people who are not in the local area, or people who might not have the ability as easily to come into our facility to request materials and view them with a team member of mine over the computer. So we're really excited to be launching that. It is a project that the University of Washington has been working on since 2020, and they've had a couple of different versions of it that they've piloted. And MOHI in Seattle, so the Museum of History and Industry, currently does these virtual visits as well. And I'm particularly excited to be offering them because I think it's a great way to make sure we're providing some equity with our visitors. But also, I know that I had one person tell me in the last month that they would need to take the train to get here. And I love that, right? I love that for our visitors, but also it would be great to be able to offer something if distance was a kind of a hard thing to have to do. So our collection is available via our website, and we are always very happy to have people in to look at materials. Does anyone have anything they would like me to go into more specific detail about? Or is there anything that you'd like to know about our collection? I'm happy for this to be very interactive, right? Go ahead, George.
Okay, so I noticed the depot at Woodland has what appears to be a southbound train on the NP double track. And I think that's a Union Pacific train because for all the rail fans out there, it appears when I use my magnifying glass that the locomotive had a Vanderbilt tender, so that would have indicated a Union Pacific train. And for my time that I worked as an engineer on that area, I think that depot would have been on the east side of the main line towards I-5 when that was later put in. I just couldn't see the train number on the engine number boards, but that's what it looks like to me. The other one that you showed where the train was arriving and you saw like the Western Union signs close up, that looks to me like that's Leicester. Wouldn't you think so? No?
No,
Where would
Daniel
you think?
says no. Where is that, Daniel?
The covered turntable in the background gives it away. That's at Easton.
Yeah, I was
It
wondering about
is.
that covered turntable.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is
okay.
Easton.
Yeah, I didn't
It's
mean to say.
1940
Yeah.
Easton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
definitely
right.
Easton. And did you notice the bamboo train order hoops hanging on the Western Union sign?
Why don't we back? Could we back up to that photo? And
We can. Hold on. Let me
no
get
worries.
us back
No worries.
there. I just have to go to share again. But
well, you know, I mean, yeah, you've got.
see, this is why this is fun. Like you're
talking to
gonna
the
show
bishops
me.
today on some of these photos.
I know, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
So what are you looking at, Alan,
So
over on the Western Union side?
On the Western Union side, there's at least two of the bamboo train order hoops hanging on the sign.
And that would be a way that the people on the ground could communicate with the people on the train.
Yeah, but when he finished hooping up, or when they threw off the orders, or the hoops there, a lot of times the local trains would hang on to the hoops, and then on the return trip they'd throw them off at the stations on the platforms. And so, for whatever reason, he's got two empty hoops hanging there on the
Western
sign,
Union
or
side.
maybe he's got orders in there waiting for the train. I'm not sure, but anyway, there's two hoops, at least two hoops hanging there on that sign.
What direction is this?
You're looking east.
Looking east. Okay.
East.
From
Yeah,
the
it's a
depot, and then you've got
westbound
the
train
covered
coming.
turntable off to the right, and then the Milwaukee Road would be further off to the right then.
No, left.
Left.
Right, is that a rotary plow or a locomotive?
Oh, I don't know. That's a great
No,
question.
no,
it's a
if we're looking eastbound, I think the Milwaukee's over on the right there.
Nah,
Yeah, I'd be on the north side.
So that's after the Milwaukee went over the NP at Lake Ketchulus, right?
right.
Just west of Eastland.
So,
About Cabot Creek.
so Margaret, one question I had for you, I just wanted to make sure, you know, because, you know, when we do presentations at Cascade Rail Foundation, you know, every once in a while, I had one we did up in Squim. We did a Squiminar, and someone came and said, you didn't have provenance for that item. And I was, you know, I went back through it and I did, but you know, that sort of thing always, you know, concerns you as a presenter. You know, did I really have provenance? And so I just wanted to make sure I can copy a low resolution image off your website. And as long as I say courtesy WSHS, I'm fine.
You are totally fine. If you need something higher resolution than what we have on our web, and actually I can tell you, because I wanted to be able to show you this, I took all of these from our website, right? I just copied them and put them in.
Okay.
So they aren't such low quality that they can't be used, but they wouldn't work in a publication, say. We definitely are encourage people to use the collection in that way, and because we think this is right, we want to make sure things are digitized, because this is how people are interacting with collections on a very accessible way now. So yes, it's totally fine, and you can see here. I actually want to show you what I have all the notes from everything down here. I just couldn't see them.
Yeah.
So we know if you want to see. So the first photo, I'll go back to that, and you can see that it is. Now, it would be great if we could figure out a more close date range on this. So if any of you all have ideas on that, that would be amazing. But it is sometime between 1893 and 1898. It's a Northern Pacific train, locomotive number 33, being greeted at Francis, Pacific County, Washington, by the Francis Band.
All right, class. What's the answer here?
What you say? Where do you think it is?
Well, we know where it's at, but the date range is rather large. So I would love your thoughts, and you don't have to tell me right now, but you can think about it. This is an image that says it's from 1893 to 1898, and it's Northern Pacific train, locomotive number 33, and it's in Francis, Pacific County, Washington, and that's the Francis Band. And that's what we know about it. It didn't have a specific date on the image. So I loved how community this photo was. And you can see like there's a dog and there's a small child, and you can really see that they're welcoming the train.
Do you have the original image?
Yeah. Okay. This is the we have all the original images. Everything online is just something that we scanned.
Well, if you look at the front number plate on the engine on the original, there's writing there. And if you could
Okay.
read that, because the Northern Pacific 440 has got a massive number of renumberings, and you could have 2 or 3 engines, same wheel arrangement, same number. So who built it? The flag is in the way, so I can't see the builder's plate and tell you what manufacturer it is. But that's a real early engine, and I would suspect that that's photograph probably dates earlier than that. But we'd have to look at that to find out for sure. Because by 1898, it would have had a 3-digit number.
I'm wondering if this is might be the opening of the Willapa Harbor line, and that's why they're out there greeting the train.
Well, except look at the track structure there, Alan. It's got weeds growing over it, so it looks like it's been there a while.
Oh yeah.
I think that's always the thing, right? Trying to figure out these little clues.
Well, yeah. And
well, if you want, we can real time. If you want, I can get out of here and I can go open the original image and we can look at it together.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean,
you want me to do it? Okay. It might take me a minute to go grab the image, and as long as we're not having any Azure problems, right?
No, yeah, we've got all day. Yeah. we're all fine for time.
No, this is good. This is fun. Well, and I think this is why I appreciate doing presentations like this and work like this, because I can work with you all on what questions we need to have answered.
So one
again,
question
these are all just images I thought would be interesting for you all to see from our collection, and I'm just trying to go back to that one right now. Sorry, you had a question.
Yeah. So what sort of criteria does WSHS look at for new collections, accessioning new collections? You know, what are some of the criteria? What are some of the salient things that sell a collection to an institution like yours?
No, that's a great question. And we are super happy first I need to say that we don't have a budget to go out and collect material.
Right.
So we have to be offered things.
Nobody does.
Right, from families. And that our mission is how history connects us all. So as long as there's a Washington State connection and a really good provenance for things, we look for, so I think in a way that we might differ, is we look to make sure that in 100 years there's a story that we could tell through an exhibition or through public access about what we accept. And it didn't used to be that way, but it's really moving in that direction now. I love, this is just me personally, but I always love how the rail connects all of us here. And I think so many of us have family stories that really resonate with that, that it's important to be able to show that and showcase that through the collection. I can tell you that this particular photo doesn't have a number. It was given a number in a later time, which means we've had it a really long time. And that potentially the information did not stay with it after its original donation. All right, if you give me a minute.
Yeah, a close-up of the original might lend us some
clues. Well, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, okay,
I'm going to go open. I just need to go get the image, and it might take a sec for it to open up because it's
a big image. And Daniel's busy looking at his map, and Alan's checking his note. We've got two outstanding historians with us today.
I know. I feel like we need to do this every once in a while, where I'm just like, we need some answers about these train pictures, and we get on together.
So how many collections do you receive every year, or a session, I should say, right?
It honestly depends on the year, but usually it's in 100 or 2.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the year and how people are responding to things. We have a lot of people who respond to our exhibitions and think, oh, I have something like that at home that is related, and it really does help. Okay, so I just have to get to the image. No.
I know I'm making you multitask. I'm sorry.
No, I'm happy to do it. I just, I'm very fortunate that because I'm the boss, right? I can just go in and show you. We can just bring it up. Because I think these are really fun. 282.
And a special thanks from the Pacific Northwest Railroad Archive, the NPRHA, and the Tacoma chapter of the NRHS for all of Ed's work and help to our groups over the years. I mean, he's just an absolute delight to work with.
Well, and I said, don't you just want to do this presentation? And he was like, no, I want you to do it because I want them to come visit us. So,
but
Ed
you know
is
what?
very much wanting you all to just come visit us. So, and if that's something that you're interested in doing as a field trip, we can definitely make that happen as well.
You know what I would like, since you gave me I got my shoe in the door quick on you, is we could maybe do a program and have Ed join us.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I don't worry, I am trying.
I know.
Sure that happens.
We would love to have.
He was a little worried that his presentation would not be as in depth enough for you all, and I can see now why he was worried about that. Okay.
Oh well,
so
yeah.
Because you guys are like super serious about this in a good way. Okay. The image has been rotated, so let me just. I'm trying to get the image to rotate.
You're doing great. This is really interesting in real-time archivism in action. I love it.
Totally.
I mean, this is just like live theater, folks, except for archivism.
Well, good. I'm glad. I mean,
this is fun. I'm glad that you've had the time and we get a chance to develop, this relationship, and you kind of learn, some of the people in our audience that really like this stuff. So.
Which is great. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to open it. It's facing the wrong way, but
okay.
I think we're just going to have to roll
turn our
it
heads.
And then we can share it, and then we can zoom in. So, Can you see the image? Yes. I just trying to make sure.
My head. I was thinking I was going to turn it the other way.
As well. Yeah, you can see that I was like, what? Why is this? It's not supposed to be that way in the system, but it is. And it's a really
that's okay. Image. Just give it a second, and we'll see what we find. So.
Oh, come on.
We'll just give it.
Trying to get it to.
I know. It always does this when you're in front of a live audience.
No, I know. It's usually not a problem. But...
So then let me
stop sharing and try to open it up again.
So when I come to visit, is it that in that beautiful, like a foyer that's right inside the doors of your institution, right there by, what do the locals call that school next to it? Stay Dumb High School?
Hey, take it easy, will you?
Yeah, that's the joke, and they call it Stadium is actually the locals call it Stay Dumb.
You have to be careful.
Yeah, it's
my alma mater there, buddy.
Yeah, George in the audience. Chuck, you were Lincoln.
I didn't go to Stay Dumb. I went to the high school formerly known as Wilson.
There you go. Yeah, Chuck, another Tacoma historian extraordinaire.
That's my wife's alma mater.
Yeah.
Well, I think I see how they.
I have to tell you all, we have to be careful because I have 2 kids over there right now. So, and my Tacoma family has always gone to Stadium. So
I took photography class on the 3rd floor, and it was right on the northeast corner of the school. If you look straight across, and I have a photo that I took of the museum from that vantage point from the window there. So.
That's great. Well, I know that I have 2 kiddos over there right now, and one of them has 2 classes where you can see into my office, and you can like really see into my office. And one of them you can see into my office from the library as well. So they think it's hilarious, and their teachers think it's really funny. Okay. Now, can you see the sideways image? Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can see it. Now we just need to make it bigger.
Let's just make it bigger. And it's going to take it a minute to brighten up.
So you know the story about the bricks at Stadium High School and how that they ended up using the bricks to build a depot in another part of the state, and then it sat as an empty building as a hotel for many years before it finally became a high school. So you've heard all those stories, right?
It's well, and actually, we're just taking in a collection of someone who, Frederick Heath, the architect of the building's family, is donating their collection to us right now, actually. Okay,
Wow. So that would
I
be
am
like
having a hard
photos and
time.
drawings and stuff like that.
There's not a ton of Frederick Heath's work because it was all done for like he did the big architecture books for like the church and things.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's the things personally he was able to have. I don't know if this is going to work, y'all,
I don't know if it's
because
going to
it's
work
not.
either, but it's been an interesting project while we've been talking.
The thing is, I see how they came up with that date range. I see how they came up with that date
You
range.
think?
Yeah, that the track
Okay.
track was built in 1893, and by 1898, if that engine survived that late, it would have been renumbered to a three-digit number. So therefore, 93 to 98 equals 8.
Oh.
So if we can determine who the builder is and which number 33 that is, since there was more than one, you can maybe narrow it down. But that 5-year date range,
Okay.
that's pretty good for something. And if you look at the track with the weeds growing up, I think you're probably closer to 98. The records for that,
Wow. Okay, that's great to know.
so we can figure out what its last number was and when it was scrapped. If we have to be scrapped sooner than that, but I think that's probably as good as you're going to get. 5 years on a picture that old that's really good.
Well, there you go.
Yay! Well, if we would like me to send, if you'd like to dive into it deeper, I can send the high resolution file.
Just send it to me and I'll send it
via.
off to them and I'll keep them busy.
Well, and we can figure it out. So if you
Yeah.
don't mind, I would happily
Yeah,
send you
absolutely.
the high resolution file.
I can't tell you how many photo IDs I've done. So yeah, go ahead and do that. I don't think we'll get too far. Well, I actually worked with the Northern Pacific Steam Engine and Excursion Service for years, so I do know a little bit about them. And I do lots and lots of photo IDs. I have several thousand old railroad maps, and I can usually identify a location from that. So, yeah, we could, I don't know if you can read it or not, but it looks like it's pretty fuzzy. But if you can read it, it might narrow it down a smidgen more. But a 5-year date range on a picture that old and that isolated place, that's really good.
Well, kudos to
Okay,
WSHS
great. Well, if you'd
for
like to
having
see
done
it
it
in
right
more
in the first place.
detail.
Yeah.
Well, you know who did it right the first time. It wasn't me.
Was that Ed?
We know that was cataloged by Ed. So, right, Ed did a great job on that one. But if you would like to look at it in more detail, I would be happy to send it along to Jonathan.
There you go.
There
you go.
You could do that. That's an easy thing for us to do. And I have to say, for all of us who are not the subject matter experts that you are, that it's really helpful, Daniel, for you to spend time doing that for people and organizations. So really thank you for doing that work, because the more we know and can preserve in 100 years, everyone is going to have that information. It's just so special. So thank you.
That's kind of the whole point of all this stuff, is to the archives and everything else. What good if it just sits there in a box in a file cabinet if it's useless?
Exactly.
That information out there.
And that's why.
Yeah, I've just said you get the information out there, and so people can use it, and that's kind of the whole point.
It really is. And we are working really hard to digitize our collection, just in the sense that it's really important for our public. And we talk a lot about the democratization of information and just really letting people have access to their state resources, right? It's my job to keep them safe for perpetuity, but a great way for everyone to have access is through that digital piece, and really making sure that we're keeping everything well and for our future generations. It is such an important piece. Okay, sorry we could not go that deep with that one image, but does anyone want the information about the other images that were in the presentation? Would we like to go back and do that? So
sure,
you can see
we
what
got a
those
minute
were?
here. Yeah, let's do that.
Let me just go, and just in case.
So one of the questions that I've got is looking at some of the ephemera for the original ski resort that was at Hyack, which was built by the Milwaukee Road. And, I'm a Milwaukee Road guy. So do we have all of the, well, you wouldn't know this, but, getting copies of that ephemera so that we could use it as a presentation, because, there's a new ski museum up at the summit, and it goes right through the parking lot where the railroad used to be. And I think that it would be a way that we could kind of collaborate with them and do some sort of joint program. So I was starting to look at what you might have on that ski resort.
Yeah, we should have material. As you all know, if you know Ed Nolan at all, that he has really made sure we have a large ephemera collection. Part of the reason for that is we have a full arm of exhibitions that we can do here, right? We have a building that is meant just for the exhibition purposes, and we use a lot of those materials in exhibitions as well as publications and presentations. So we would happily help look and see what we have, and also if we have enough advance notice, if there's something that's not digitized.
That was my other question.
We're interested in using as long as I have a little time to put it in the queue,
sure,
right? Then I don't have to charge for it. If you need it like in 3 days, right? I have to charge for it. But, but we're happy to put it in our workflow. So
one thing I noticed about the image that you're sharing right now is that it's a postcard.
It is. We have a very large postcard collection.
Isn't Ed a postcard collector?
Yeah, ephemera and postcards are the things that he has enjoyed collecting for us. This one is circa 1909, and of course, it's Woodlands in Cowlitz County, Washington. We don't have a ton of other information about it, but again, I know you were talking with me about what we collect and why, and I think this is a great example of that, because you can see that the passengers are waiting, you can see the train is pulling into the station, you can see the goods that are going to be loaded on the train, you can see people waiting to unload the train. Like, it tells a story.
And story.
So
George,
anytime
is this a UP
that
train? Oh, I lost George.
There we go. So it appears to be a UP train, like I said, by virtue of the fact that it's got a Vanderbilt tender behind the locomotive. And as far as I know, none of the other railroads that were on that line, even the NP, did not have Vanderbilts on their locomotives. So I'm going to guess that's probably a connection for the SP Shasta Limited. They ran right through from Seattle through Portland, and then, of course, down to the Oakland or somewhere else on the Bay Area. And that train, I tried to read it with my magnifying glass, but I couldn't quite get the numbers on the board, but it would have been either 311 or possibly 561, depending on the era. But if you say 1909, that's about right. They have.
Do you want me to send over the image?
If you could.
And that would be the number of the train, not the number of the locomotive, correct?
Yeah, in this case, regular trains carried numbers of the train on the number boards, whereas if it was an extra on some railroads, then they would have the engine number in there. You see it? They're by the headlight.
Yeah, the Northern Pacific didn't have those. The headlight's wrong, and it's got piston valves, so it's definitely a Union Pacific engine.
Yeah.
And if you could get the engine number, you might narrow it down some more, the date, because 1915, they had a big mass renumbering of all their equipment. And so if a date before or after that.
Might be, that might be one of the light Harriman Pacifics, and it could be one of the mates of the OWR and 197, which is now the going to be restored as the 3203.
Yeah, I agree. It probably is one of those Harriman Light Pacific, but it's definitely UP. And again, if we find out the engine number, narrow the date down some more, possibly. I have that whole.
No, that's great. And
Go ahead, Margaret.
No, this is great, and this is why I love connecting with community, right? Because I'm happy to send Jonathan these two images at a high resolution so you could look and see if you can tell. So we can add that to the record, because any bit of detail that we can add, we're so excited to do that for the record.
I go, gosh, that's kind of a neat train picture. And these guys look at it and go, well, Yeah, it's a difference. I look at it and I see these milk cartons or milk containers sitting on the platform. It's just, yeah, there's a timeless quality about these photographs that makes it so
I
enjoyable.
think that guy was a very good photographer because look at the composition of the photo.
Mhm.
He's got the train, which is interesting, but he also shows the depot and the whole idea of human activity there.
Mhm.
Does Margaret have a particular area of historical interest or research interest? This is a question that's coming through from the chat. What's
Oh,
your
thank you.
bag, in other words?
What's my bag? Okay, well, do you want me to stop sharing this? Is everyone
Yeah,
okay if I do
talk
that?
about your bag. Yeah, talk about what interests
Well, we
you.
don't have to talk about my bag. I am really excited to be doing the work that I get to do. As I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, I'm a fifth generation Washingtonian, and my family came every way possible to Washington. We still have sections of wheat in the Palouse that we were original homesteaders on. All of that wheat goes to Japan now. I also have family who had very large orchards. So one of my relatives, so my great-great-grandfather got the apple box passed as a unit of weights and measure with Congress because bushels were not efficient for trains. And the women of my family all kept diaries and they kept clothing and they took a lot of photos before taking photography was common. And they were pioneers in the sense of the word of like they made do. And one of my ancestors came across the covered wagons by herself to meet her brother when the rest of her family passed away. So
Wow.
I started going to museum school. I grew up on the other side of the state. When I was going to do my work in museums, I started looking for all of the information about women's stories and diaries and family history in the collections I was working at. And I was really shocked to learn that those were stories that weren't kept often. And a lot of the time, we have and I can give an example from here, right? We have a really great diary of someone and they're listed as the pastor's wife. And that's what we know about them, right? And it's a diary about this person. So it's for me personally, I love working somewhere where I can help preserve family stories like mine, right? And others across Washington, and people who've come from lots of different places to Washington, to make sure that in 100 years, my family can look back and see what it was like. I am really interested in making sure that we are capturing the stories that go along with everything to make sure that we're being accurate. And you can probably tell, I noticed that Chuck asked the question in the chat too about Aisha Curtis, but I'm really vested in my time here with the Historical Society being one of lots of digitization, lots of making sure people have access to the collection because that's how we stay relevant. I love the fact that Daniel and George had such great insight into just 2 images that we have in the collection. And I think we keep history alive and foundational and what people can focus on by making sure we're playing a key role in that accessibility. So I've worked in museums for the last 20 years. I lived in Los Angeles for 15 years and worked in museums there. And I really wanted my kids to grow up in Washington and become, adult here. So we moved back to Washington to make sure that we had that experience with them. And you can come at me with, I want to know this very specific thing about this, and I will help you with that because I think that's how we keep everyone engaged in this type of work. So I usually put it that I'm motivated by the tenacity of my ancestors to make sure that stories like theirs and others are preserved well for the historic record. And that's what I get to do here every day. And I really appreciate that that's the case. I did see that Chuck asked about an update on the Aishel Curtis project. I will do a little plug in case you have not watched Aishel, the Curtis collection documentary. It's a short form, 30-minute documentary on Cascade PBS. You can watch it on YouTube or you can watch it on the PBS app. They also rerun it sometimes. And it is, we spent a year working on this documentary with Cascade PBS about the project, and you can see behind the scenes look at how we store things and how we've been digitizing things. I will caveat, if you watch that, I'm the only one digitizing because no one on my team wanted to be in the video. I am not sitting and scanning every day. We have lots of other people who are doing that, but they did not want to be a part of the documentary, which I understand. So we won an Emmy Award for the documentary over the summer, and we're really excited about that. And we are getting ready to do an announcement about the project. And so I can't say everything, but we are really fortunate to have raised funds for this project and continue to do the work. We are thrilled to be able to highlight lots of images that haven't never been seen, and there are definitely train images in there. So Jonathan, if you want to have me back just to look at some of the Aishel Curtis images, I'm happy to do that. I could probably bring some other people with me as well, but we would be happy to do that too.
Well, as I've often said, tempt me because I speak yes fluently. So, yeah.
We're happy to. Now that this is Native Land is open, right? We have another permanent gallery that's being renovated, but this one was a 4-year project, and exhibitions usually take us 2. So this is just it was a large space, and it required a lot of really close consultation with our community.
Excellent, excellent. So this is wonderful. And this is a reschedule, folks. We originally had Margaret scheduled for August of 2023, and we just everything went haywire with that program. And I just shamelessly begged until I could get her to come back, and I'm so glad that she did today. And yes, we would love to take a look at Aishel. How do I say it? I never can pronounce that.
Aishel Curtis. Yes,
Aishel Curtis. Okay. Chuck, do you want to ask anything while you're there? You can talk.
Well, it was just I saw the documentary when it was originally came out, and I'm just wondering, if there was anything more other than simply, were so many percentage of the collection more digitized than then, and what might be available. I'm really interested in the railroad pictures, I will admit, but the other stuff too, because he's got such extremely high quality photos of that early era. And for instance, there's a picture that we have from Walt Ainsworth's NP location collection. Is a picture taken over by Easton, just this side of Easton, that shows a passenger train down the river coming around the bend, and I'm just sure it's an early promotional picture for the North Coast Limited. And knowing that they're glass plate negatives, it would be really neat to find out if you can zoom in enough that you can actually identify the equipment.
You can, and I think that's the lovely thing, Chuck. Because they're glass plates and nitrate negative, they're both. But we have been able to digitize them at a really high resolution, so you can really zoom in and see. It's harder to do that on what we're going to be able to have available online, but you'll be able to reach out to us and ask those types of questions. We are doing an exhibition about the project in 2026, kind of very tail end of 2026. So we'll have lots of images on display as well. We are very close to being done Yes, I will put my email address in the chat and my phone number. I'll put all my things in. And Jonathan has all of my contacts.
Well,
So he
knowing,
can also
but
send it.
knowing that I can pass it out is always, I'm
You can,
careful
yeah, you
about that.
can. And
I
and
don't just give
I have
out
a
your
work
phone number to guys
cell,
I
and
know.
you can have that number too. And you can text me on that one too if you are a texter instead of wanting a conversation. But yes, we are very close to wrapping up the digitization efforts and starting to work on the release effort. And we're really excited to be doing that. I think one of the beautiful things about this collection is that we have handwritten note cards that you can see in the documentary that Aishel Curtis wrote down about everything. So you can see the client, and so you can tell which railroad he was working for, right? Which is really great. So all of that information is kept with the images. The other thing you can do is you can really look at what he was doing. He was traveling around Washington, taking some photographs for himself, but he was also taking photographs for clients, right? So you can see like, oh, so he is taking photos for the Spokane Chamber of Commerce, and then he's taking railway photos, right, for a different client, and then he is photographing someone's farm and their buggies and their horses, right, for them to potentially sell those. So it's a really interesting look at what Washington, not only what Washington was like, but what a commercial photographer's
the business side of it too.
Where that took him.
So,
as well.
so just from a schedule standpoint here, on live programming, late spring would probably maybe, towards late spring would be a good time. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
happy
I'm
to
just
do
putting
that.
the 26th calendar together, and I'm so excited to have you as a guest. So
Yeah,
now
right
I know I
in.
can shamelessly get you to come back. I mean, this is great, folks. So
You can, and I will try to bring Ed and Lily with me for the next presentation. They wanted me to do. Lily is so new that I wasn't going to make her come to this, but I know that Ed is interested in coming back and really looking with you all at. So Aishel Curtis would be really fun to do.
This
and I might even be able to get Knut Berger if we would like from Mossbacks Northwest too. He's had a very big interest in the project from the beginning. So if you like, I can also see if he.
Well, I'll be sending you some dates over the in response to today's program, and because again, I don't mind saying that having you as a guest on the program is always a priority for me. So we're just so grateful to have you, and it just is as I don't know, kind of the armchair authority is to watch what the professionals do is great. So we're coming up to the top of the hour. Does anybody have anything more for our guest, Margaret Wetherbee, Washington State?
I'm just saying, Jonathan, that if whatever the museum needs, railroad information, photo ID, map identification, when was the third spike pulled over here, whatever, you know who to ask. What I'm saying.
Great.
Well, actually, there's
so
a number. Well, Alan and Daniel and Chuck Soul are expert on the Northern Pacific and the great city of Destiny itself, Tacoma, Washington. And Ed Bernson, you turned your camera on and your mic on. Did you have something for the group, Ed?
Just one thing. Would you repeat the hours that the research is open to which an appointment can be made and the best contact way to reach the scheduler for an appointment?
Sure. And Jonathan now has permission to just send out all of my information to you all. If you'd like, you can contact me. If not, there is a form on our website. It's called, research questions, basically. And what you would do is you submit that form with what you would like to see, and then someone will reach back out to you. If you want it to be me, feel free to reach out to me directly. But Lily Woodard, who I know worked with you all,
was a volunteer for us. Yeah, that's very exciting.
So she's our new reference archivist. So technically it will be Lily who will be doing the research visit. And currently we are open on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 4 in the afternoons, but we're really excited to make sure that we are starting to offer in the new year virtual visits as well. And if you all want to come on a field trip, you don't have to come on those hours, right? So we're happy to look at doing something more special for you all. Or if you think, can we just come in for a day and look at pictures and help you ID things? Like we could make any of that happen, and we're happy to. But what it says on our website is Wednesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 4. Fill out the online form, or feel free to just email me about it, or you can give me a call. So I have my number is available as well. So we really just want to make sure that everyone who would like to come and have a visit has the ability to do so.
And your electric telephone number is, again?
Sure. Well, I have a new telephone number, so I might actually have to look at my email to be able to tell you. The main research center telephone number, so this will get you someone all the time, is 253 798 5914. And my my phone number, is, I can put it in the chat as well, but it's 253 339 4952. And that is my mobile. And I will also, so here's my mobile number for work. And then I'll also put my email address in here as well.
253 339 4952. And Margaret.Wetherbee, WETHERBEE at wsh.wa.gov. Very interesting program. It's nice to look at, like I say, the technical side of our hobby and what the professionals do. So, George, do you have something more?
Really, thank you.
I had a question for Margaret. So since I went to the school there, and of course everything looks different now because the end of the bowl on East Street was wiped out by the water main. So is there parking in the museum area, or do I need to try to find somewhere else?
Great question. You do not have to look for parking, and it is free. When you set up a research visit with us, we have a very large parking lot here, and all you do is get the information from us, and you just drive through the wrought iron gates, and you can park here. It's also good to know if you're coming over to Stadium, the lower end of the parking structure, as long as it's not school hours, you can park there. The students pay for the parking on the upper floor, so don't park there. You're going to get in trouble for parking there. It's not a cheap thing. So,
I haven't been in the building for 55 years, so it'd be nice to take a look at it.
Yeah, and I know that Pretty Gritty Tours does a really great tour of Stadium High School, and you can even go in the attic and write all of that, which is great. The school, they used proceeds from when they filmed the movie 10 Things I Hate About You to help redo, and it's a great school. My kids love it there. I have a shameless plug for the Stadium Theater program.
That's okay.
My daughter is the props master for, so she's teaching all the younger students how to do all props. And they're doing Elf, the musical, for Christmas. Oh, wow. So if anyone is interested in that, which is great. But yeah, I feel really fortunate to be right here doing the work that I get to do. And I really enjoy meeting all of you, and really don't hesitate to reach out. We're really happy to have you in, and you get to see Ed, right? Like, if nothing else.
That's just worth it in and of itself, you know? So.
Which is just a big perk, right?
That's a different project.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really thank you, and feel free to email me or reach out via phone if you have any additional questions. We're all happy to help, and we're just so thankful for the time together today.
There you go. Any more before we let Margaret get back to work? You know, as one of my friends said, meetings are a practical alternative to work. So If not, I'm going to say thanks everybody for being here, and join us again in 2 weeks when Robert Bob St. John will be with us, and we'll take a look at train pictures in the Blue Mountains of Oregon. So, Margaret, thank you very much, and I'll be in touch with you for some dates for next spring. And to our audience, thank you for stopping by. If we didn't have an audience, we wouldn't have anything. Eric Vandenborg is coming in with the last second with a question. So, Eric, you have to
I just
unmute.
wanted
There
to
you go.
issue a correction. Last week or 2 weeks ago, George asked me where this location of this background photo is that I've got up here.
Yeah.
I said Lewiston, Idaho, and that's wrong. It's Missoula.
Okay. We stand corrected, and we're glad we got that. We just lost your audio.
Sorry, I thought I'd done that. So yeah, it's Missoula, not Lewiston.
Thanks, Eric.
I assume it's Burlington Northern paint job on that number 1990. If somebody knows when that was repainted, can it maybe explain why there's those passenger F units back there?
Daniel, would that be the North Coast Hiawatha?
Say what?
The North Coast Hiawatha?
It's right. They usually could. They took some of those. They re-geared them for freight service, and they didn't bother to repaint them. So if you could read the number on it, that might help too. But that's a Northern Pacific Jeep sitting there. You can tell because it's got an MP steam engine bell on it. And I don't know when it was repainted. That might be tough to find. The only way you're going to narrow that down is someone had a photograph taken, like before and after, the paint job, and you could with a date. But yeah, I think
I'll throw it out there, 1973.
that very well could be. It's in that vicinity. But the passenger F unit should have been that. That's the really weird thing about the picture. So yeah, they could have been re-geared. They could have been on their way someplace to be scrapped, or who knows.
Who knows? Yeah.
You would, if you're familiar with the area and find out what track it's sitting on, maybe that'd tell you something.
Well, we're going to wrap up here in a second, but having her back talking about the Curtis collection next spring sounds like that's going to be a lot of fun. So, we'll be looking forward to that. And as mentioned, if you haven't watched Alan's presentation yet on Laconia, I would encourage you to watch it. It's a great program. It's getting a lot of favorable comments, and we'll be working on more direct to consumer YouTube programming as well, because there's just only so many dates to a Zoom schedule. 9 dates for the whole fall. So anyway, thanks everybody for being here. And
I got a question for Alan Miller.
Yeah, go ahead, Alan. You're on the spot.
Yeah,
So
go
Alan,
ahead.
you told me that story about being stuck up there on the line up above I-90 a long, long time ago. And I've always wondered how you got back off of there. You said you had to be rescued, and maybe by search and rescue people?
Yeah,
Get down?
at the 11th hour, King County Sheriff car showed up, and then right behind him, a state patrol. So somebody had finally saw me up there frantically waving on that rock. And they showed up there, and the state patrolman tried to go up the cliff to help me down, and he slipped and fell about 3 times. And I heard him tell the county sheriff, I don't know how the hell he got up there. You can't even walk on this stuff. And of course, they hollered up there with their bullhorn and wanted to know if there was any more people in my party. I said, no, just me. And he says, is there any reason you can't go back the way you came? And I says, yeah, I'll get killed. So I heard him say, we're going to have to get search and rescue. So they had to send search and rescue out of Seattle, which then took a while. And by the time they got there, it was dark, and I was starting to go into hypothermia by then. But they put a rope around me, and then they would bail out rope and have me go down to a certain point and stay there, and then they'd come down, and they put those clamp-ons on their shoes like you climb on ice with, and they were able to be stable. And then I had that rope around my waist so that kept me from falling. And they just relayed me down in about three different stages. And then I got the ground level. And then the county sheriff, he put me in his car with the heater going for a while they did all their paperwork and stuff. And then he drove me back to Hyack where my truck was. But I thought the way I was planning it, I went through the tunnel to get there. Then I got on the High Line and thought I could hike the High Line all the way back to Hyack, but uh, they
Yeah, so you approached it laterally.
right.
You didn't
But
climb up there or down. You came
yeah, there
sideways.
used to be a concrete snow shed on the eastbound lanes going up the grade up there. And when they took those snow sheds out, they went up and dynamited that whole hillside off uh, there so that when snow does come down, it never reaches the highway. It goes down into kind of a void there. And so that's where I ran out of grade. There was no more grade. And so to get across that, I just got up against the hillside and just kind of dug my fingers into the rocks and my toes along the edge. And I just worked my way across that face. And then when I got to the end of that, I thought there'd be grade there. Well, there was like a 75-foot deep gorge, and I couldn't get across that. And so I made a running leap and jumped onto this rock. And then once I got up there, I was stuck. I couldn't go anywhere from there.
And this predates cell phones, so if they didn't see you in the daylight, you were probably toast.
Yeah, I mean, if they hadn't have seen me, my bones would still be laying up there on that rock probably, and they'd still be talking about, yeah, we found Alan Miller's pickup at Hyack, but we never found a trace of him.
I'm glad you made it, Alan.
Yeah, me too. I mean, live to tell the story. I mean, this is like when Frank Sellerhoff got stuck on the barge out in Elliott Bay and was using his flashlight to send an SOS signal to the tugboats until finally somebody saw him and came and rescued him. Yeah, amazing that people survived back before we had cell phones. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, well, thank you, Alan, Eric, and thanks for asking the question. It's good to see everybody today, and thanks for being here. I think we're going to wrap up today's program, and we'll see everybody back here in a couple of weeks if I don't hear anything more from the audience.
What's the next program and what day, please?
It's every other Wednesday, so the next program will be on November 12th, 1 p.m. Pacific time, and it'll be Bob St. John. He's in the audience today, and he will be talking. There's Bob, and Bob's a double E from Bob. I'm going to get this wrong. Is it K-State or UK?
KU.
KU.
Thank you.
KU, which is Kansas University.
That's correct.
There you go. No, I'm not even going to guess as to the mascot.
The Jayhawks.
It was the Jayhawks. I was going to guess that, and I chickened out.
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
Hey,
yeah.
good. That's a good line there, Jay. Chickened out, huh?
Checking out, guessing
There you
Jayhawks.
go.
I didn't, I don't make this stuff up, and I don't practice this in front of a mirror, as you can tell. So,
Well,
we're looking-
if you're a K-State alum, the KU mascot is affectionately known as the Chicken Hawk. I can say that.
Well,
I'm
it's going
looking
to be
forward to
fun.
your
It's going to be
presentation.
fun having you on our program in 2 weeks, and you've been
Yeah.
a faithful attender, long-suffering attender on these programs, and we'll enjoy that program in a couple of weeks, and then we've got Robert Scott and Jim Abney, and then December 31st. I'm still negotiating with the agent of our possible December 31st guest, who's still checking with his wife to see if he can do a program on that date. It would be a great program if we can pull it off. And now we know, I'll probably try to see if I get Margaret Wetherbee right behind Julie Feather from the East Broad Top. Then we would have, that would be double-barreled archivism in a good way. So I'll leave that as a cliffhanger, everybody. Thanks for being here today. I'm your host and moderator, Jonathan Fisher, thanking everybody on behalf of the Pacific Northwest Railroad Archive and Cascade Rail Foundation. So anything more, Ed, before I go? Okay, everybody. Well, I guess on that note, I'm going to say bye for now, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye, everybody.